All right, that was Alinga Tahi talking, and this is the blockchain of value enabler, bridging financial assets and intangibles. Now, back in 2016, he offered to invest $50 million into FoundUps to help do the ICO launch and everything else. But it required me basically turning all my work over to him, and I just decided not to do that. Also, there was a guy, a Chinese guy, Chan, Chan Legao, um, who's a big Bitcoin investor in China. Him and them were basically took over my project. And the thing is I see my project in the wrong hands as kind of like a doomsday machine, right? So, but what I really attracted to him was this internet of value because the pepper thing is what he was doing. Now the problem is he doesn't unbuckle. But I want to read this paper here, make a video of reading this paper. So I'd like to reach out to these guys here, who co-authored it. But there's a Linga abstract. Blockchain technology was a vision to bring universal solutions to strengthen the digital democracy, right? And in essence, what he's saying is it's the idea is to Bitcoin was launched during the financial crisis. It was to displace the IMF, the fiat. So this is not really true, right? Digital democracy. They wanted to make to democratize money, right? And that's why it's Bitcoin's going to unravel fiat and become the Bitcoin standard, right? Ensure digital trust, distributing power between the members, minimize um, e epo or monopolies, right? I don't know how, you know, and all through the MS way of digesting and transacting value, right? So, and what he's referring to here is actually when he refers to the blockchain too, he's referring to Ethereum's vision and when they did the value, all right? Now, if you read my work, which dates back to 2012, not read it, but listen to my work, and I'll link a video to this of me talking about not only DAOs, but the blockchain and even Ethereum back in 2011-12. Um, it's all about the blockchain exists, and this is the why of the blockchain. All right, is to actually transform our current business model, which is responsible for practically every crisis facing our planet, into something new, which I call social beneficial capitalism or capitalism 3.0, built on these three pillars of Bitcoin, blockchain, which is DAOs, and AI that manages it all. Um, and he talks the latter, however, was deemed to represent financial assets only, neglecting the value created by intangibles or non-financial values, and that's the liking system, right? The liking system in FoundUps, driven by the noodle by this AI, is measuring these intangibles. Nevertheless, intangibles are established to play a significant role in impacting financial value and therefore needs to be incorporated into the existing value chain system. This paper explores how blockchain technology can capture and transact not only financial value but non-financial value, conveying um, the conveying this way total value. So keywords: blockchain, value, um, uh, intangibles, consensus, right? And proof of value is actually a domain I owned once. So I don't know if I still have proof of value. These are the references that they have here. Um, Permission to make digital hard copies of this work is granted without fee, provided that the copies are not made or distributed for profit or commercial advantages. There's no monetization of my channel. That copies bear the notice, that bears this notice the and the toll citation on the first page. So the toll citation on the first page, a toy citation is right here. So I'm complying with the recording of this and the sharing of this, okay, in this talk. Um, um, Copyright of this work owned by other than the authors must be honored, right? Abstracting the credits, abstracting with credit is permitted. The copying otherwise or of this post conserve no list prior compensation or a fee. Request permission from permissions@acm.org. So I would say that I'm one of the copywriters of this. My work goes back talking this prior to Alinga Tahid. Actually, his work starts the same time I did. So this whole what I back then called open beneficial AI is driven by this whole value measuring of these intangible values, and that's what attracted him to my work and wanting to incorporate my work into his work, and thus wanting to know me. So the concept of value, which I refer to as benefit, is broad and encompasses many different types of it. Two main types are financial value and non-financial value. So I would say the two types are financial benefit and non-financial benefit. The financial benefit, such as money, goods, and assets like land ownership, is a long established and well-known. Non-financial value is yet to be widely investigated, and really non-financial, or I would say non-financial benefit is the impact that this post or the impact that this project is having on three things: the planet, its living systems, and in sharing with others, which he doesn't cover. So the core kind of measurements of benefit are those three things. And ask the question: how is this widget impacting the planet, or in this case, harming it? Right? How is this widget impacting the living systems of the planet? Not just humans, but all the living systems. And how is this widget impacting and sharing with others? Okay. The universal adopted thesis around value, investigating and deprived. Furthermore, there are universal adopted theories around financial value. However, how it is to be measured, and this is what we refer to CAGR, compounded annual growth rate, and what I introduce is compounded annual benefit rate. So you're replacing the G for growth, which is the current financial value, and you're replacing with the B for benefit, which is the intangible value. So you're going from measuring these financial values to these intangible values through benefit. And these non-financial values, that is represented in how it is measured. Nevertheless, value is one of the most speculated notions today. Now it can be disguised and transacted thanks to the rise of blockchain technology. This paper will focus on the investigating of how blockchain can capture and transact any kind of value, or in my case, benefit, non-financial value in particular. The paper will first introduce the concept of transacting value online and overview current state of the blockchain, the technology allowed, right? Establishing problems and challenges brings, right? The paper will go on to define financial, non-financial value, the difference in their nature, and therefore the need for the different tools to capture and transact both types, right? Section 3. Lastly, the paper will introduce potential solutions and the theory, right? And the extensions. So, review of the current state and the art of value, right? So the blockchain technology and the blockchain technology, Internet of Value, rise. The Internet of Value, or Value Web, also commonly known as the Internet of Value (IOV), is essentially the concept of transaction value online, such like the Internet of Things (IoT) is the platform allowing data exchange among various physical devices. Internet of Value encompasses the value transfer between machines, people, and etc. Right? So think of it. So think of what I'm proposing is not Internet of Value, but Internet of Benefit. Right? How is it? Again, the benefit is very specific: the planet, the living systems, and sharing with others. That little caveat I took from permaculture and embedded into the framework of proof of benefit. So, and in other words, Internet of Things, technology. All right. In other words, Internet of Things is a different is the different technology through which the value movements take place, whereas the Internet of Value is a broad umbrella that describes this value movement. And again, I would add the caveat as it relates to the planet, the living systems, and sharing with others. The rise of the Internet of Value has been allegedly intertwined with the advent of maturing or disruptive technologies such as blockchain technologies, while some argue that IOV emerged as a natural extension of blockchain, right? And there's Skinner, Tresport, that was his talk, right? Tapspot, right? He talks about it in his TED Talk. In the turn, I don't know what that. In the turn, blockchain technology was envisioned to bring a universal solution to strengthen digital democracy. It was democratization. It's not really to. It's actually to disrupt the current business model, and that's what people don't understand. The why of the blockchain wasn't just to strengthen democracy, digital democracy. No, the why of the blockchain is I envisioned it in 2011-12. That then was adopted and developed by Ethereum. That came out in 2015. If you look at the chart on the side, was to create a playing field, right? Like a new sandbox to move from a broken one and say, hey, the only way to move from capitalism to something new is to create that something new we call the blockchain, and for people to migrate over to it, not for them to just engulf it and add it part of the current, despotic, dystopia that we call capitalism. That wasn't the point of what I envisioned that has become the blockchain, or UnDAO. Right? I hate to say the word I because UnDAO is in everyone. So UnDAO is also in Vitalik. UnDAO is in Charles Hoskin's. Whenever I interact with something, UnDAO is infused in them and their motivations, and they change to ultimately usher in the fifth age, which existed far before me, right? So that's why I am UnDAO, not me as Michael Trout as I'm speaking now. Turning of transaction, okay, financial only. Let's see where we at here. So the blockchain, or more generally, all right. So let's go back here. All right, I don't know where I was. Okay, between members, let's see, digital trust. Okay, so democracy ensuring digital trust, distribute power between members, minimize e-monopolies, all right, and it all through the innovative ways of this digitizing and transaction value, running ahead transacted value where was deemed to be financially only, omitting non-financial side of it. Blockchain, or more generally, distributed ledger technology, DLT, has come into the spotlight in the 2010s. Only modern day tech is actually based on the work of the scientists, software engineers, in 1991. Before 1991, two scientists, Stuart Haber and Scott Sawyer, proposed cryptographic ways to timestamp a digital document through so-called hashes. That's 91, right? That's blockchain, right? This was somewhat revolutionary. It allowed trustworthy digitization of data, essentially laid the ground for the blockchain technology as as we know it today. Huber and Sona stated the oldest known started the oldest known blockchain that was running in New York, that was running in the New York Times, from the year 1995, right? So they actually had in the New York Times, they're probably using it to encrypt and making sure that their stuff was coming on it. So understand, this is technology, the vision of the blockchain as it came together through Ethereum. So you can look at this kind of timeline here, um, and it's, from 2008. You have to admit. So what they're missing in here is 2011, 2012. You know, Undaudu meets and collaborates with the founders of Ethereum that they would launch. It's like this big. It's like they go from nothing to launching right here, 2015. Well, that's where it started. Sharing the work, the idea of the DAO and everything else. The white paper of Ethereum came out in 2014 or maybe even 13, right? It may have come out in 2013, then the ICO was 2014, and then the actual launch of Ethereum was 2015. So it was 13 was the was that. And what you don't understand is the founder of Ethereum, the actual founder was Matthew N. Wright. He was blacklisted from Bitcoin Talk. He wanted to destroy Bitcoin, right, for blacklisting him. He has over 4,000 articles on Bitcoin Talk. You can look him up, Matthew N. Wright. And he set out. He's the cougar on the mind zodiac, and he set out to basically destroy Bitcoin. And his what is it called? His horse. What is that horse that the Trojans brought in, right? The Trojan horse was Small Planet, which evolved into Ethereum. Okay, and that's who I went. And the reason why, for example, why Vitalik, a genius engineer, is basically on the white paper and him alone, and not any of the other co-founders, because I interacted with them. And more importantly, like Michał Lisi, right? Who I interacted extensively with. And he has never given me credit for that work, even though in the Skype logs that I downloaded, right, and took, he says, your work completes what we're working on. In essence, Ethereum, in essence, the DAO, right? They were missing the DAO. So my work led to, and it was decentralized open corporations, led to specifically the DAO. So I like to say I'm the father of the DAO because I spritz my fucking jizz into, Ethereum's minds. And you can think of it, Undaudu, they interact with Undaudu. And Michał is if you look at the behind me, you'll see like what looks like a Skype image of looking through a monitor to keyboard and mouse. And that was me communicating with Michał. Really important. So, this is the thing down here. And then you can look at the generation, first generation, second generation, right? Third generation. We're entering now the fourth generation, which is the DAO, which is kind of cool. And the fifth generation, okay, is AI. So we're interesting when they don't have it on here, but I can just tell you. So 2018, 16, so it's 18. You can say 2019 to, I don't know when this age is going to end, but probably maybe 2025. And then 2025 or 2024 is the age of the DAO. And then 2025 is going to be AI, right? So the AI blockchains will come to their own or start coming to their own around 2025. So we're nearly at the end, and this is the transition of the fourth age, right? 2012, right? Notice this is right in the middle of the fourth age, the Mayan calendar, into the fifth age. And the fifth age has already started. So it's already started in this, in this era right here, on it. So the problem and challenges. One of the earliest, right? One of the earliest and most popular versions of the blockchain, Satoshi's electronic cash system, has been unanimously deemed perfect, as many argue proof of work, right? As many argue proof of work protocol may be manipulated and exploited to establish monopolies. Indeed, mining farms with just one owner did show such an monopoly was possible. He's referring to Chan Gao, who pretty much ran all the farming in China. One guy, he was the great godfather. Monopolies was possible. As a result, we see a boom in cryptocurrencies, not rarely disguised. New consensus mechanisms, algorithms, and protocols aim to create fair and transparent systems. Some may argue, though, that such spread of consensus mechanisms and protocols is part of the evolution, right? So yeah, so obviously people are proliferating. The thing, Bitcoin is just property. It was, I disagree in the sense that it was a cashless. He wanted to disrupt the IMF. He wanted to create the Bitcoin standard, and ultimately what I'm doing through the distributed autonomous entities days is doing just that. Because if you can sequester the Bitcoin, if you can then tie a token to that amount, so you're not just creating value out of nothing, right? Then ultimately, that token is backed by that Bitcoin, which is property, as Michael Saylor would say. And that property could be taken a loan out against. It's there for the benefit of that day. And as long as you have that property, your day can't go anywhere, right? Because it has that value, that inherent value. And the other thing you have to understand about Bitcoin is that it is immutable, right? It also has in dog years has like a 30-year advantage of the first one. If you look at this little thing back here, Bitcoin comes out here, Ethereum comes out here. That's 6 years. 6 years is like it's like a 30-year advance in dog years. So here is kind of the different. Looks like the different blockchain. I see Cardano down here, Hash Ledger, what it's coded in, right? To hybrid, all the C++ like Bitcoin, all these different things in here, right? On it. But let's see what here. Let's at the table one overview of blockchain applications. Custom and NB, new blockchain, whatever. Custom worked out types of the same consensus mechanism. For example, proof of stake. The delegates proof of stakes are considered to be two mechanisms in this paper, right? And delegates. And delegated proof of stake. So proof of stake and delegated proof of stake are considered to be two mechanisms in this paper. Different applications of the same blockchain and hence consensus, e.g. various blockchain solutions, including cryptocurrencies built on top of the same blockchain provider, Ethereum Hyperledger, are considered as one, developed, right? So various blockchain solutions built on top of the same blockchain providers, right? Ethereum and Hyperledger are considered as one. Developed, ready, and in process blockchain protocols and DLT platforms are delegated as under infrastructure. Our characteristics. So infrastructure, all right, and then there is those that are delegated, right? Am I reading that right? Delegated and proof of stake are considered two mechanisms in this paper. Different applications of the same blockchain. Okay, all right. Hence the various blockchain solutions, including cryptocurrencies built on top of the same blockchain provided, e.g. Ethereum, okay, are considered as one. Okay, so Ethereum is a blockchain, right? Hyperledger is its own blockchain, and even if they're built on top of it, it's still the same blockchain. I see what they're saying. All right, so there are now a number of different blockchains that are mostly used to digitize and transfer financial assets, such as money. There is also those who aim to digitize and transfer non-financial assets, for example, academic certificates and diplomas, MIT 2017. Ownership rights, mostly they aim to do by means of blockchain and existing protocols, are constructed around financial value. NFTs is an example of this. For example, Bitfury together with the Georgian government has built a land registry system that registers landowners' rights and stores their name on the blockchain, right? Well, that's kind of cool. Bitfury's doing that because one of the problems is it's like, regime comes in and all of a sudden, boom, there goes your land, and no, we have no record of that. So now that's on the blockchain, and obviously Georgia, that happened, right? With the Serbian war and everything else, people came in and basically stole their land, and now they're going back and saying, no, we want an immutable record of who owns this land. And however, financial value is different to non-financial value and requires different tools to digitize and transaction. Intangibles such as love, respect, encouragement that are carry non-financial value are different in nature to financial assets, obviously. Okay, so now you have, for example, you have AI that can read the text and knows whether this text is positive. Is it hate text? Is it, like, if I don't know if you noticed that if you try to write something hateful on YouTube about the viewer, it doesn't even show up. It got automatically held, and it says a little comment, please be courteous. So bots now can actually, hold. For example, like the way I see is, one of the problems that you have when you're dealing with a chain like, we're building, where people are going to put dick pics and other shit up there. And, the bot can use image recognition and can blur out or hold the pic for community moderators to approve. And how do you become a community monitor? Well, you get a community monitor because by earning it, right? By earning the, like, okay, you're liking, you're reporting. I was a community monitor for LinkedIn until they changed their requirements, their terms of agreement. You say you had to have an image, right, on it. There's no such thing now in your TOA, right? So there's no like reporting a person who's using a logo or not using their name. Okay, is no longer in the report of it. They took it off. So it's like, well, I guess I'm no longer kind of helping with that. Thus, there are two ongoing issues. Blockchain community is fragmented due to a lack of unity and trust in existing consensus mechanisms and protocols. That's true. Everyone's a bunch of herding cats. They're all running off doing their own thing. And trying to get anyone who's working, they're myopic in what they're doing, and trying to get them to open their eyes to, hey, maybe there's a better way, and you just get kind of a silent, blank cat look at what you're doing. Existing consensus mechanism protocols focus predominantly on these financial assets are constructed around digitizing and transferring financial value, non-financial assets, and hence non-financial value, okay, are an attempt to be transacted by the means of the financial protocols. I don't quite understand what that means. Let's read it again. Existing connect mechanisms and protocols focus predominantly on financial assets and are constructed around digitizing and transacting financial value. Period. Okay, I understand that. Non-financial assets, all right, and hence non-financial value are attempted to be transacted by means of financial, or attempted to be transacted. I don't understand what that says, but I think it says we can't do it, right? You can't transmit non-financial assets. And what's a non-financial asset? Respect, love, right? Benefit. I don't. To me, love isn't necessarily a thing, right? Because how is that thing impacting the planet, the living systems? If you're living if you're loving the living systems around you and stuff, that's, and you're doing things out of love, your project out of love, then there's a value there. The identified issues may seem different and disconnected. Solutions to both ways may well may be well connected, right? While the latter is the topic for future research, see section 4. This paper considers the second issue only, namely highly financial nature of the existing consensus mechanism and protocols which lack adequate tools to accommodate non-financial assets. Proposed hypothesis is, if modified, blockchain technology can capture and transact any kind of value, right? Financial and non-financial. So this is what we're trying, this is what the whole thing, since I started my work, right, is measuring the value, the total benefit, right? Not total value, right, but the benefit that you or this widget is having, again, on the planet, its living systems, and sharing with others. Those are the three things that really matter. Advent to the blockchain terminology, it is compared to the steam engine innovation, right? Just like with the early days of the steam engine, when it was envisioned to be used everywhere, blockchain and DLT can be employed in every instance to transfer and transact different kinds of values. Skinner, 2016. Blockchain was first described cash financial value, all right, Nakamoto, 2008, right, and neglected non-financial value, and now it can be transacted by means of blockchain. Financial value of transaction is the amount of crypto coins sent from one party to another, whereas non-financial value represents intangible value of involved parties at the time of the transaction. All right, say that again here. Is important, right? So financial value of a transaction is the amount of crypto coins sent from one involved party to another, whereas non-financial intangible represents the intangible value of involvement parties at the time of transaction. See, I disagree with this, right? Because in a non-financial intangible value transaction, it's reading that non-financial intangibles as the value that then is represented in the coins that are moving, right? It's like saying, well, this action has a high non-financial value, right? So we're going to give it a value, a financial value, right? Whereas, because it, deciding to pick up trash on the beach, okay, has no real financial value. That's an aesthetic value that you're helping the beach. However, as a reward for you taking that action, so you could be working at McDonald's, or you could picking up trash. The problem is picking up trash doesn't pay. Not in the current system, but in the new paradigm of social beneficial capitalism, it does, because the AI, instead of rewarding tokens to someone that has a financial value, thank you for selling and there's profits involved and I'm making money, it sees the value in the action of picking up trash. Make sense? So then the total value of every transaction, the sum of the financial born out of tangibles, and non-financial born out of intangibles. And again, I don't agree with this. And this is where Alinga and myself kind of grew apart, because he's trying to map the value to financial value, and I'm like saying, no, they're not correlated together. They're not the same. And we don't really care about the financial value because we're ushering in a new paradigm built on benefit, not value. And this is where, because he is, because he's a whale, he's a multi-millionaire. He has, like he said, 9 houses and all these cars and everything else. He doesn't grasp that, what it's like, right? And yeah, he keeps saying, yeah, I have a daughter who's ill, and he tries to placate on those sympathies. But this is, this is a good example where kind of things fall apart. Transaction reasoning can be applied and extended into any tangible or intangible subject. Total value equals financial value plus non-financial value. Total value. Right. I would say in the new thing, total value is is the benefit that it has on the planet, right? So, I'm not sure. I don't know. So looking into the nature of financial value born out of tangibles, it takes different forms: assets, stocks, bonds, previous precious metal stones, etc., and can always be transacted in a number of associated with money. In other words, financial outcomes of the blockchain transaction with related to tangible financial value protocol. As industry standard, financial value is evaluated through the PE, the price earnings ratio. Okay. Again, this is what he's describing is capitalism, is CAGR, is this whole nasty, profit-driven system that ultimately needs to be, redesigned. And as long as you're putting those elements into that design, then you're not redesigning anything. Is my rebuttal to this. Non-financial value, born out of intangibles, commonly social values, is more diverse and speaks of our lives just as much. Okay, I would say social benefits, right? Again, this is why I don't like the word value. It's benefit. Again, benefit to the planet, living systems, and sharing with others. Human emotions and feelings, such as happiness, job satisfaction, are personal values. Okay, and I don't know if this is what I really, I guess to me the intangible values is how is, again, going back, I'm going to keep going over and go, is how is what you're doing. That's great that you feel that way, but do you not feel better when you're picking up trash on the beach versus stuck in a 9-hour job at McDonald's making $15 an hour? I mean, if you had a choice, would you have more joy and excitement working on a permaculture garden or transforming riverbanks into a food forest? Because I see that's where your emotion and feelings come from. So instead of trying to focus on the emotion feelings, focus on the action that develops those. And that's what he's missing in this paper, right? The benefit. And I think that when people are, feel like their life is benefiting the planet around them, is benefiting the living systems around them, and they're sharing with others that benefit, right? That's where these emotional stuff develop and come out of. I think he's got this all wrong, right? And is connected and drive with social value, blah, 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 right? Therefore, having established a way of capture and translate non-financial outcomes, a blockchain transaction will be consistent regardless of the use of value protocol. While these are various intangibles and sentiment measurements tools and matrix, there is little to no consensus between them. Given the latter, the latter, and building on the principles of social impact and general systems theories, Professor Linga Tauhid has introduced his social earnings ratio, right, or SIR ratio, right? SIR. That's where SIR ratio comes from. I get it. All right. SIR ratio comes from SIR, social earnings ratio, SIR ratio. Aha. All right. An intangible asset tool that helps articulate non-financial intangible value was created as total value equals financial value plus non-financial value. So PE plus SE. Okay. So and I think that could be, I believe that this needs to be part of the equation, right? And then he has it down here, right? This is where he expands it on here. So SE equals social value over financial value equals S plus over S. Environmental ratio plus money leverage plus reported S CSR plus people supported capitalization divided by shares plus alignment ratio divided by reported SRE plus 10 degrees of separation. What? 10 degrees slash separation. It's hard to see here. PE, so that's that one. That's what SE is, right? SE plus E. And then PE is environmental ratio plus monetary money raised plus donations, all right? Plus people influence times financial worth divided by family members, okay? Times positive feedback, total feedback divided by total feedback. Okay, donations plus 10 degrees of separation times 10 degrees of separation, right? So I think that's the percentage, right? That's the percentage in there. And environmental ratio equals carbon reduction, right? Plus non-traded CO2 divided by 10. All right, alignment ratio plus positive sentiment and all that. So so that's his whole equation there, and maybe some of this is embedded into the whole. This would be where it says the valuation. So the 3V engine, I see this as being a component. Why not? He's developed it in the valuation on it, but it should be just one of the components in valuation. What's the value of this thing? Because it should relate to what are the economics of it. Session 4. All right, so up here. Okay, so I kind of screwed up here because I went down here. Was created as the corollary of the price earnings PE and represents a single number that is capable of uniting all non-financial, right? Tahid 2015 and Halibut. The initial SE used to calculate non-financial value in business, but metrics has developed since and currently used in the basis of probability metrics such as personal value, PE, modern slavery, ethical leadership, social earning ratio is an open source registered trademark. Okay. Cool. It's an open source registered trademark. Same as FoundUps. FoundUps is an open source registered trademark. So is all my work is an open source registered trademark, right? The Open Innovation Framework. So here is this little thing, figure, and I think I could actually, well, I'm just finish going through this and I can go through those other images. Went through that, okay. Where environmental ratio represents how environmentally conscious are decisions made by an entity. So alignment ratio shows how aligned people are to the analyzed entity. That's individual, right? The carbon reduction amount of TCO2 cut off by the analyzed entity in the observed year, right? Non-traded CO2, price of the non-traded TCO2. Money leverage by the entity over the social purpose. Reported CSR, claimed corporate social responsibility spending. Okay, that's reported. People supported, number of people supported per social project. Capitalization of entity. Shares, number of shares. Positive sentiment, number of positive mentions. Number of total mentions. I mean, this could be run by a bot, right? Here. Degree of separation, correlation of network cohesion. Money raised, money that analyzed individual helped raise raised for the social cause of the observed year. Donation, money donated to individual observed year. People influence, number of people positively influenced by the individual. I mean, these are all kind of, mushy, right? Financial worth of the individual. Why does that have anything to do with it? Family members, number of people in the immediate family. So that's divided, right? Influence times financial worth divided by family members. Um, these are the formula that formula of the offline entity. Similarly, when applied to online entities, alignment ratios illustrate how alignment use, okay, and means how any transactions could take place. Consequent alignment. So V1 over V2, okay. Whereas V1 equals the number of confirmed transactions at a given time, number of all potential transactions, the number of I wonder if he has this probably has this as a spreadsheet that the guys work through, sits down, pauses transaction, given the time, right? Given time, given, right, all this. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, has this all been peer reviewed, right? At the same time, total network, kind of going through this here. P, total value of network, value of the value of per user node, number of active users, number of all users in the network, right? So, total value of the network, VT, is the direct correlation with SE and can be, so ratio is the correct ratio, and can be used to capture non-financial value of the online entities as a custom rate, SE metric, and hence prodigy, blah, 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 blah. Application, so ratio blockchain of total value, right? There are several ways of embedding PE ratio into a blockchain. Place PE calculations in the code of the existing blockchain structure. Create a hybrid system where metric software tools which orchestrate the non-financial value will be connected to existing blockchains, right, and carry a transaction. Start an independent blockchain platform that will allow total value transaction to happen in one place. From the time administration team is gone, with a second option, that hybrid system, right, is the ratio blockchain, right? Or the social blockchain of total value, right? A blockchain that enables exchange of both financial and non-financial value. In other words, a blockchain that supports both financial assets and intangible SVP, consistent with two layers. Financial layer provided by existing protocols, Ethereum blockchain, right? Non-financial by the ratio smart contracts, and social earnings ratio based on the software. Add-on services, provenance engines, ratio, AI wallet, retailers, blah, blah, blah. Decentralized exchange, right? DEX. And a decentralized autonomous foundation, a DAF. It's a DAO, right? Decentralized autonomous organization. It's really a day because the foundation's holding the Bitcoin, right? Development of Ratio platform. Also retailers portals awarding conclusion. This paper has investigated how blockchain technology can be deployed, and blah, blah, blah. Financial opportunity, financial value represents the form of financial assets example, right? Non-financial value, which operates intangibles such as this, together Internet of Value and underlying blockchain technologies have allowed for the value transaction online, right? So bunch of links, references, future work. The value model we represent in this paper is by nature blockchain platform agnostic. However, building on the discussion in 2.1, in the long run, blockchain society may see one perfect protocol or consensus mechanism, but may not just as well. More in the traditional phase, we get various clusters of decentralized systems known as pirate or public, right? Public repositories, right, respectively. Blockchain missing bridges, so-called cross-chain solutions. Between them, implementation may be one of the limited ambitions model. Cool. All right, there you go. An hour of reading this damn paper. I've been wanting to read this paper, so, and we can like pop up this image here. It's not gonna come over here. Actually, maybe if I open up, where is the over here? I don't know if I can move that over a little bit. All right, so this was some of the images that they had, right? So the protocol layer, non-financial layer protocols, financial value protocols. This was another image that you can't really see on it. Mind, citizen, family on there. This was the, the story of the blockchain, right? So we're now in the fifth one here, and ultimately, I would say that where we're at here, if I was to put this in here, okay. So let's turn that to black. Let's turn this down to 20. Let's put that to the side. Oh, and I would say 2019 to 2024, all right, is we're in the second wave of mass adoption. We're in the third wave, so the generation, so we're in the Dow kind of kicks off, right? And we're entering into the third adoption wave. Everyone is talking about be a DAO, be a DAO, be a DAO, right? So right. Let's bring this down a little bit here. Okay. All right, so that's there, and then if I copy this, go down. All right. What'll happen there? There should be. All right. And then 2025. All right, to 2030. In this the AI on the fourth. Fourth adoption. The fourth, and this would be the late majority, okay. can't I get this on here? Why can't I get late majority on there? Come on, people. It fits on there. What's going on here? There you go, late majority. All right, third adoption is early majority. I don't know why that's not working. It's like the same thing there. Early majority, let's do it this way here. All right. Late majority, early majority. We're now in the early adoption, right? The second wave. The first wave is innovation, right? So all this was innovation, and this is right here. So there you go. That's where we're at. And I should be able to bring this down a little bit so you can see it all. Okay. So kind of this mashup here of this talk. Hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for listening.